Today on the Topping Show, Austin, Texas rebrands their logo for the first time and removes the cross and makes it modern and boring. Dearborn Michigan Police Department become the very first one with the crest to include the Arabic language. Trump's Mount Rushmore meme goes viral on social media. Zohran Mamdani and Elisabeth warrant interview a kid who tells them just give away more free stuff. Trump also trolls Gavin Newsom with a Trump 2028 hat and a clip on social media. The Nissan Z Nismo finally gets a stick shift option. And an AR-15 chamber lock gets recalled. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase with Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15, like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more and see me shooting a flamethrower. And lastly, trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends and your enemies, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, we have some great news. The iconic Nissan Nismo Z gets a stick shift option finally. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Motor1.com, specifically Tyler Anderson over there. And they say, quote, enthusiasts rejoice. The Nissan Z Nismo is finally getting a manual. Nissan will finally offer a Nismo, Z Nismo with a manual transmission alongside the automatic, which, of course, that is what they should have done from day one. It's one of those things where, again, with Nissan, the Nismo is the track version. That's the thing where it's really made for the enthusiasts. You know, obviously you get some fancy pieces of plastic on the car. It looks, slightly cooler. But realistically, you're getting better handling because they usually improve the suspension. And they usually give you some better tires, a little bit more aero, a little bit more horsepower sometimes. And again, these cars, they're not, the goal is not to set track records per se. This isn't going to be like, I don't know, the new Corvette. It's not going to be like blistering fast around the Nürburgring. These are for enthusiasts. And to have it without a stick shift option when, again, the regular Nissan Z has that option, pretty much every comment when this came out was just laughing and derisively saying, what the hell is wrong with the Nissan? Give us a stick shift. Because again, that's what the enthusiasts love. I still contend there's no better feeling than going to the track and downshifting into a corner. It is exhilarating to say the least. Cannot recommend it enough. And again, this Nissan Z is growing on me. They're looking cooler and cooler. I mean, outside my budget, I'm sticking my Honda Civic Si for now, but nevertheless. Tyler says, quote, the Nissan Z remains to be an outlier in the sports car market. It rides in old school bones compared to its arch-rival Toyota Supra, which will soon see a replacement. Despite this, the Z is a hot ticket item outside the Supra by 3-1 for the first half of 2025, which, yeah, but that took a couple of years. Because again, for the longest time, the Toyota Supra was just outselling the Nissan by a multiple. And even Q1 2025, they said Nissan Z is outselling Supra. I didn't believe it because I've seen like 3 Nissan Zs, but I've seen like 50 Supras. Granted, I'm also in the area that is headquartered to the Toyota North American headquarters, so I have some employees driving them around as well. But, it's only just now I'm starting to see a couple more Nissan Zs on the road. Now, they say that, quote, for 2024, the Z gained the new Nismo variant, which gets a standard limited subdifferential, stiffer suspension, stronger brakes, as well as a slew of aerodynamic upgrades. Sorry, drank too much coffee or too little, I can't decide. It also gets a twin turbocharged 3-liter V6 and gets a power bump to 420 horsepower and 384 foot-pound of torque. That's up 20 horsepower and 34 foot-pound of torque, respectively. It's all paired to, the 9-speed automatic transmission. Again, that's for the 2024 Z Nismo. Now, I say, quote, taking a page out of the Supra handbook, the Nissan Z Nismo will gain a 6-speed manual transmission, according to a podcast interview from Automotive News. Nissan's America's chairman, Christian Minor, said, quote, we have a Nismo manual transmission coming, unquote, without elaborating on the tuning or whether the stick shift option will be offered with a new set of performance upgrades. And again, let's get this thing on screen here because it looks it looks like a really good car. The dealerships are kind of ruining it with the markups. I'm abhorrent, but nevertheless, they look pretty cool. Now, say, quote, still, this is good news for enthusiasts fighting to keep the clutch pedal alive. The manual may be dying, but surely a long way off from becoming extinct thanks to buyers like you, the reader. It says, pursuing this article right now with elated glee. They say also continuing saying, quote, it's not to say you can't buy a Nissan Z with 3 pedals right now, though. The base Z Sport and Performance trims comes with your choice of a 6-speed manual transmission or a 9-speed automatic transmission at no additional cost. You note that if you want an automatic performance car, there are some steep discounts on 2024 and 2025 Nissan Nismo Zs. For those wishing to row their own gears, you may be for a wait. Nissan do not share a timeline for the manual Nismo and when it shall arrive, which, again, hopefully this comes out before Nissan goes bankrupt. They're not doing great. They're about as successful as the Chicago Bears or the Detroit Lions. Sure, they've won Super Bowls before, sometime, for sure, probably. But yeah, it's been a couple rough years. And again, this is what enthusiasts have been asking for. We go to the track. It is so much more fun to have a stick shift. I mean, I literally smile every corner I go into on the track with my car. And again, my car doesn't have that much horsepower. It's a Civic Si, mostly stock. But it's like, yeah, having that stick shift option. I mean, it's already outselling Supra, partially because the Supra is, the 5th generation is going away, also known as the BMW. But it's an instance where I figure these sales are going to bump up more and more because of this option. Because there are still folks out there who love a third pedal. Personally, I'll never buy anything that doesn't have a third pedal, also known as manual transmission. But yeah, find some great automotive news from Nissan. They've been overdue with, tough sales, unreliable transmissions. Another reason to buy manual. But yeah, I do wonder and let me know in the comments, how much do you think their sales will go up because of this upgrade? 5%, 10, 15? And again, this is the Nismo. This is, the top trim line, so it's more expensive. So I don't expect it'll be like a huge volume mover when it comes to the number of units sold. But yeah, I think it's definitely going to be good for the brand. And it's great to see that they're actually listening to the enthusiast community who are keeping the stick shift alive. Which again, if you can financially do so and get a new car with a stick shift, that is how you send a direct message to the manufacturer that they should keep making them. And I cannot recommend that enough. If, again, you can financially do it now, because these manufacturers need to hear that now more than ever. But let me know your thoughts, comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the Cultural Pod podcast, you have Austin, Texas doing their first rebrand, and of course, the logo looks like crap, but I'm sure consultants got paid millions. Now, this brought to us thanks to End Wokeness, and he says, quote, no, this is not satire. This is a real video of the city of Austin proudly revealing a $1.1 million rebrand. I can't help but think someone else got paid a lot of money for this logo. It looks so stupid.
The city will be getting a new look. For the first time in Austin's history, we will have a logo to represent the city's services and unify us as one organization, one Austin. We will go from this to this. While this effort began before I arrived as city manager, it is a project I was glad to champion.
What a moron. Yeah, but notice, oh yeah, just like weak Minneapolis and Minnesota, which I purposely mispronounced as a slight to that weak conquered state, they used to have a beautiful logo. I mean, you got some flags, you got a cross, you have some symbolism. Pretty straightforward. It says the city of Austin, founded 1839. Pretty straightforward, pretty classic. And then they go to this new design, which a moron like me could have designed with a crayon. I mean, if you're just listening on, Apple Podcast or Rumble or Spotify, yeah, it's basically an A. It looks like a stencil of an A. And those morons spent over $1 million for that piece of shit. And again, a lot of people are saying this is a woke rebrand. I actually woke is all about destroying what was once beautiful, once great, and replacing it with mediocre crap in many respects. It's a big part of what the woke movement is. And again, this new logo, I don't know how he says it unifies us. Again, it looks like a stencil of an A. I guess we should be actually surprised. I mean, I'm actually surprised it's just not a rainbow flag at this point for the city of Austin. But how does destroying your historic symbol, which again, had the flag, I mean, has some history there, and then you get this A? This has to be money laundering for some of the cronies like this who know, like some of the cronies who work in the government. $1 million for that? Really? And went pretty well. Got about 1.4 million views and 18,000 likes. The first comment comes to us thanks to Amelia Henderson, who says, quote, what money laundering looks like. And it's just a logo. But they replaced Austin with autism at the bottom, getting 3.2 thousand likes. You also have Libercat Media TM says, quote, literally everything woke turns to shit, getting 631 likes. David Santa Clara says, quote, I'm looking at him, kickback, getting 227 likes. Yep. Paul Zupa says, this is ridiculous. Austin has so many other more important problems, getting 523 likes. Yeah, but I don't think, there's a lot of these blue cities where shitties, as I purposely mispronounce as a slight to them. I don't really think they ever want to solve any problems. Look at Chicago. Homelessness, crime, driving businesses away with high regulation, high taxes. They really don't seem to want to fix the problems. Also, because then they can't campaign to get reelected to fix those problems. You see a lot of the politicians having the same messages, like Gavin Newsom from California, saying, I'm going to fix the homelessness problem. And they've spent $25 billion, I think it's 2024, and nothing to show for it at all. That's just ridiculous. And again, I would argue corruption. Jay says, so who really got $1.1 million? Anyone could have created that logo in 5 minutes for free, let alone $1.1 million. Let's see. You also have a gentleman said, they had to get rid of the cross. Leftists are like vampires. They burn from the sight of it. Getting 2.9 thousand likes, which, yeah, there was a cross on top. You also have Dissident West saying, quote, I'm starting to think these expensive rebrands are actually just some form of money laundering. Yeah, getting 2.8 thousand likes. Kaliko Jack says, fixed it. They have the Cracker Barrel guy on the logo of Austin. Getting 1.2 thousand likes. Daniel Fountainman says, with the homelessness problem they have in Austin, they should have gone in this direction. And it's just a tent. This is Austin getting 895 likes. But, yeah, more and more rebranding in the United States as more and more culture is destroyed. And, yeah, I can't but think this is money laundering. But let me know your thoughts and comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have Dearborn Michigan Police Department being the first police department in the whole United States to have a new crest that is it's in Arabic. Yeah. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Charlie Kirk, who's actually reposting for Bridget Gabrielle. And she says, this is how it starts. Dearborn Michigan Police Department now has the nation's first ever uniform patch in Arabic. And Charlie Kirk says, quote, thanks to the chain of migration, Muslims are now a majority in Michigan's Dearborn Heights. Named after the Revolutionary War general, now local police have rolled out the country's first ever badge with Arabic script. Yeah. I mean, is anyone surprised? I mean, I'm actually surprised Minneapolis or, Minnesota hasn't done this and changed the language to Somalia. They changed their flag. So Minnesota, their flag was redesigned. Again, what used to be a beautiful crest about history and important symbolism of our foundation of our country, and is all just erased as they imported unknown number of Somalians into Minneapolis, and they changed their flag so that it basically looks like a Somalian flag if you use crayons and have less creativity. It's like a worse version of that, which is saying something. And again, they're right. I mean, it's one of the reasons Democrats win a lot in Michigan. They're importing folks. They vote that way. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if, English is no longer a major language in Michigan in 15 years. And now they have the police departments. Now, Tim Pool brought this up years ago on his Timcast RL, and he noted the importance of, we import people here, they sure as hell better have our common values. I agree, obviously. And he said one of the biggest issues is leftists are going to import a bunch of people here, turn them into soldiers and police officers who have no allegiance to the Constitution, our founding fathers, our way of life, and they'll do whatever their government tells them to do, regardless of constitutionality or morality. And again, I think that concern is becoming more and more reality. And you can't learn English. You have to put that on the police patch. Yeah, my family came from Cuba. Si hablo un poco español. I know very little Spanish, but I know that. Because they all assimilated. And they actually learned the local language. They were from Michigan. Which is kind of the joke I make. My parents or my mom's side of the family escaped communism in Cuba right when Fidel took over, only to go somewhere worse. Detroit, Michigan, debatably even worse because of the crime and terribleness over in Detroit, Michigan, outside. But again, they all moved here. They assimilated the culture. They sure as hell never flew a Cuban flag. I guess for goddamn sure. They flew the American flag to this day because, again, they came here because of what our country stands for, what our country was built upon. And they assimilated. they, even as a child and family gatherings, I mean, they would speak in Spanish only when they were talking about adult topics that they're trying to, trying to have some adult talk, so to say. Sure, they're talking about taxes. If the kids are listening, that's what adult talk really means. It's boring stuff like taxes, property tax, income tax. They don't want, no need to know about that. But again, that was the only time they spoke Spanish when I was a kid, and even then, it's pretty rare. Again, they only spoke Spanish when they moved here, but they learned English. And again, that's supposed to, it just, when you have to have a similar language. It's crazy that is considered a controversial thing. Heaven forbid, if I were to say that on like a LinkedIn, I'd get ostracized and I'd ban my account in 18 seconds. Again, you have to have a common language and you have to have a common culture. And again, you keep having these instances where they're bastardizing these symbols of our country, they're changing them. And this is a pure example. There's not assimilation. It's on the police badges. Give it 5 more years, they might just get rid of English completely because the demographic shift is so monumentous in Michigan. Which is also perhaps saying something that they would rather live in Michigan than the Middle East. Or there's some joke in there, I'm sure. I need to perhaps drink more or less caffeine these days. It's a crazy busy week, but wearing a couple hats being a small business owner, it's a fun challenge at times. So apologies, a little flabbergasted today. But it's an instance where this is just pathetic. Again, if you come to a country, that's great. But you have to have a common shared language. Just to be able to communicate with each other. And of course, shared values. Now, this one pretty valid. I got 2 million views and 44,000 likes. One of the first comments comes to us thanks to the Wall Street Maverick. This quote: "How long until the English language is removed from the uniform? How long until only Muslim officers are hired in that area? At this point, it is just Sharia law in Dearborn Heights, getting 380 likes." Yep. And it's kind of hilariously ironic, the leftist women who vote for mass migration, and they're the same ones they say they're feminists, all that kind of stuff, and yet they're voting to bring in people who have the antithesis ideology of feminism and want to cover them in a burqa. So it is kind of funny in a dark humor, ironic way that they're voting that way and they're doing those actions. Let's see. You have Ralph Glaze says, can't speak today. Which brings me to a friendly reminder. Click that subscribe button. When I first started the show, no one tuned in, well, barely family, and I had no subscribers, maybe 3. But as I slowly but surely get more subscribers, I slowly but surely became better at my articulation of speaking, which isn't even proper grammar. However, compared to when I first started the show, I would say monumentous success. Statistically speaking, a great improvement, which fuels my theory. The more people that click that subscribe button, the better I'll get at speaking, and someday we get through an entire episode speaking perfectly. Also, tell your enemies. It's an instance where tell your friends, yes, about the show, but tell your enemies. Your enemies might be so enamored and impressed by your choice of podcast material, they then become your friends. Or they hate it so much and find me so viscerally disgusting, they then become greater enemies, and then they fight you, and it's a physical altercation. So maybe I shouldn't recommend that, but either way, make for a funny story. So tell your enemies as well and click that subscribe button. So what I was trying to say was, quote, when in minority, and you have a kid holding a sign, I'm a Muslim, please don't hate me, it says, pretend secular, play victim card, build mosque, we want more rights. Says China, France, part of India. You have when in majority, you have people holding a sign that says massacre those who insult Islam, Islamic country, impose Sharia law, ban temples, no minority rights. Getting 290 likes. Sandra Loftus says, quote, breaking Jim Jordan introduces a new bill that would require American-born citizenship for both presidency and Congress that aims to ensure that our leaders have deep ties to our country and its values. You support this common sense issue, getting 504 likes. Which, yeah, I think that's important. Now, granted, part of what built our country back when our country needed more building was immigration and assimilation to our culture. My big thing is, again, if you have shared values, I wouldn't mind if my relatives got into politics because, again, they're diehard Americans. They believe in what the founding fathers stood for, what they built the country upon. So it'd be interesting. I'm not sure. I think it might pass into law. That did get 504 likes. You also have I Love American News says, quote, I see a trend. And then Wokeness says, quote, Abu Musa caught stuffing ballots. Omar Fatih, voting machine errors. Muhammad Hassin, ballot fraud fraud charges. Hussein Sadman, ballot fraud charges. All recent cases of politicians in America. Getting 342 likes. A coincidence, surely. Fascinating how it's only people on the left side of the political aisle. But nevertheless, totally coincidence, I'm sure. Believe Steve says Sharia law is incompatible with the United States Constitution and not welcome here. Getting 111 likes. 12. Yeah, 12 likes going up like stock. And they have the Statue of Liberty in a burqa. Bob Allen says history certainly does have a way of repeating itself, and has a picture of a knight in a crusade uniform getting 37 likes, which I don't think so. People always say, the right is peaceful until they really need to get violent. Then they'll do something. Do they? I mean, our cities are being invaded to the point where English is no longer language, and all the symbolism and signage is all being changed. Now, again, most of us have to work every day. It's one of those things where people on the right usually don't have time to protest. They're usually not paid protesters for a living, like leftists. I mean, he says, history will repeat itself. I don't. Unfortunately, I think the United States, like Europe and the UK, will just become weak and conquered, and we'll lose the Constitution and everything that's made America great. Let's see here. Redar 147 is a picture of an eagle, says America is not Islam, getting 63 likes. There's a bald eagle in front of the American flag with a cross and lightning. Disappointed though, there should be an AR-15 that the bald eagle is holding. Perhaps also while driving something with a V8 engine, if you want to make it truly American. Let's see. You also have I Love American News says, don't forget how fast this can happen. It says I ran before Carter. Then after says I ran after Carter, getting 193 likes. But yeah, it also shows the culture shift. I mean, the people in Dearborn, people in Michigan, they're not protesting, they're not resisting. Maybe the culture's lost. Or maybe, just seems like we're being conquered. But as always, let me know in the comments because it'll be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Donald Trump meme of Mount Rushmore going viral on social media. Now, this comes to us thanks to his X account. Here's a cool, funny little video here. Oh, if I can. All the presidents smiling. And it got 25.5 million views and 289,000 likes. Which, shoot, if he could actually abolish the income tax like he said he would, I'd say that's even more fuel in terms of why he should be on Mount Rushmore. I mean, it's a low bar, but he's the best politician in my life. Again, low bar, because most politicians are, I would argue, either useless and or corrupt as hell, Democrats and Republicans. And again, he's done some great things. Still needs to start working on that deficit, though. $37 trillion in debt. That's making me quite concerned. Still have the NFA Act of 1934. Sounds like unconstitutional crap. Why don't you fix that? Again, the big beautiful bill got rid of the $200 tax stamp. Great. But again, most people aren't buying the fun things that I would argue, are God-given rights, like suppressors, short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, machine guns, grenade launchers, and such. They're not doing it because of the paperwork and the process. Thanks to inflation, also Democrats and Republicans, the $200 isn't as big as a deal as it once was in 1934 when that law was passed. It's equivalent to about $4,800 now, which is why so few people had those items until, I'd argue, past 10 years, we've seen a huge increase of ownership in NFA items. Again, National Firearm Act items, like suppressors especially, not just because they're fun as hell to shoot as well. And again, he's done a couple great things, but I don't know, to me, if you could get rid of that damn theft that is the federal income tax, that again, wasn't always around, that would make him, that would truly make him great. Again, he campaigned on some stuff. He said a lot of things like a lot of politicians do. And I think he's kept some good promises. But when will he do that? The no tax on tips, that's great. But get rid of that gosh darn federal income tax. Why don't you abolish ATF? Again, he's done some good things, but come on. There's no way he can't get reelected. Do something crazy to really get my attention, to really make me thankful. Like, again, cheap gasoline, that's great. Deregulation is great. Business community is doing better. That's awesome. Especially getting rid of the EPA. Just get rid of that tumor completely. The fact that he's having deregulation in the automotive industry, the consumers will get what they want, not the unreliable crap that they de facto have to make to keep the EPA standards. That's great. I'm a gearhead. More manual transmissions, more big engines. I think that's awesome. That's great. No cylinder deactivation crap. Maybe even no more DEF fluid for diesels that makes them unreliable and trash. That is, in terms of my lifetime deregulation, that is huge. That's monumentous. But to me, what would really immortalize him would be really help the middle class who pays so many in taxes, while people, is criminal. It's like, if you can get rid of that federal income tax, give us our money back, that would immortalize him. And again, he's survived assassination attempts. He's done the insurmountable. He beat all the odds. Literally, I should put money on those things of him actually becoming president the first time. I would maybe have a Nissan Nismo Z, the 6-shift. But I love my Honda Civic Si. Now, go in the comments. Well, the first one comes to us thanks to Dr. Shari. He says, quote, Donald Trump raised the bar. And it says, Kamala Harris failed the bar. AOC worked at the bar. That Nancy Pelosi lives at the bar. Biden can't spell the bar. And Hillary Clinton says it should be behind bars. Though I should clarify for the record, I think Hillary Clinton is a beautiful, intelligent woman, has not had a disproportionate amount of people around her committed suicide, like 28 people, and I don't own any rope. And I plan to live a long, healthy life. I definitely want to throw that out there for the record. They also got 1.3 thousand likes. Let's have the persistence saying, quote, we had a petition to get President Trump on Mount Rushmore. Not only do I think it would get tens of millions to sign it, but also use an opportunity to register new Republican voters, getting 2,000 likes, which, yeah, I like the persistence, especially good at getting people out to the vote. That's Fantasy 84 says you absolutely deserve to be on Mount Rushmore, Mr. President, gave 1.2 thousand likes. You have Dr. Tree says this is so true. It says Trump is saying, I'm so pro oxygen, sweet, beautiful oxygen. And liberals are choking on a trash bag. Gained 187 likes. Also have Emily Henderson says the 2 worst presidents ever. It's Biden and Obama, getting 278 likes. I'm sorry, Obama. Rick Suit says I'm smiling too, getting 106 likes. Paul Zoop says make Mount Rushmore greater, getting 87 likes. Let's see. Oh, contrary statement. Kay, who, she's a leftist. Oh, she follows me. That's nice. So, and I follow her because, again, life gets boring if you're in an echo chamber. So try to follow as many people as possible who have interesting ideologies, or at least different. So she is described as, I'm definitely that nasty woman. Oh, that sounds like Trump voice. She's a nasty, ugly woman. She looks like a dog. Almost worse than Ted Cruz's wife. Probably the worst Trump impression you heard all year, but damn it, you heard it here, and perhaps that's an accolade in and of itself. Now, she's leftist because she has, how many flags is that? She has an orange square, the pride flag, the Ukrainian flag, which I guarantee she can't even point to on a stupid map, and her hashtag is immigrants feed us. Buy me coffee. Oh, I guess she has a coffee affiliate link, like every social media person has. She's a pro LGBTQ. Oh, I think she's going to get canceled. She's got the IA plus banana falcon. She likes the Dodgers. Whatever that is. She is a contrarian. And she says, Mount Rateborn, it's Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, Epstein, and Trump. Got 130 likes. Was she ratioed, though? No, she was not ratioed. Let's see. World of Statistics said, quote, Gavin Newsom's chances of becoming Democrat presidential nominee rose strongly to 32%, which, yeah, it's a low bar. And again, gals love voting for him because he's not unattractive. More attractive than me, granted, pretty low bar, I know. And he's good at speaking. His policies are all trash, but again, Gavin Newsom is, well, I was going to say more articulate than most Democrats, but let's be honest, that low is pretty low. Most Democrats are, I'd say, as unarticulate as I, which again, saying something. Declaration of Memes says, let's end the income tax for good. Looks like a very muscular hamster with an American flag wife beater and a cowboy hat. Says the best stimulus package would be a 0% income tax. Get 1.4 thousand likes? Yep. Again, there's a time where our country was so fiscally responsible, they would fund it with just local lotteries. You need a new school? All right, we'll do a lottery and the government gets half. Now, the government wins more than 50% of every lottery in the U.S., they still run a deficit with the morons, again, who are Republicans and Democrats. Or 50% of every lottery, the government wins, and they still lose money every year. It is so stupid. I almost think it has to be a conspiracy to destroy our country with debt. Like, I know politicians are dumb. It's got to be corruption. No one's that dumb. To lose money every single year to get $37 trillion debt. Again, Republicans and Democrats keep doing that. And with the income tax, that was not a thing for most of the United States' existence. The most recent iteration is why I always critique people when they say, we need to tax the rich. Give them an inch, you give them up, they take a mile, because that's what happens every time. The income tax, at first, was, we need to fund the war. It's the Great War. It's a big war. It's a world war. We need to fund it. So volunteer. If you feel patriotic, in addition to buying bonds, you're going to donate some of your income tax. Okay, you do that. Then they said, you know what? We need a little extra help this time. So we're going to tax the rich, but only the rich. We're going to go after you. And then they proceed to go, you know what? We're going to tax everyone, but don't worry. Only for the war. Once we pay that off, they'll go away. Yeah, we're still getting stolen from to this day from the federal government. Again, that's why I'm always viscerally against any increase in taxes, especially on wealthy, because every new tax they always take it. They always end up taxing all of us, except people who don't work or can't work. Again, there are some good folks who are having some issues, understandably, but a lot of people leeching off the system as well. Again, get rid of that income tax, Trump. It'd be great. You also have Petty Jones says Donald Trump is a full master. And so Trump will probably say something of, I'm the greatest troll master on the planet. I'm all the best. I do the Rick Rolls, the memes, as Topping would say, or as most people would say, memes. You also have Carlos America says you could already see the hair. There's a little hair on top, getting 929 likes. And again, I think there's, again, the reason the Mount Rushmore stopped, like it's actually not completed because the artist died. And traditionally when the artist passes away, that's when they stop working on the piece of art. I do wonder, with the average American support President Trump being put on Mount Rushmore, it would obviously make the leftists melt down even more than usual, which is saying something. But again, for how much good he's done, and again, he's disappointed in many areas as well. But in terms of just overcoming the odds, putting America first, not all the time, but in many cases, I think there's a justification. There's an argument to me that he should be Mount Rushmore. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, other interesting political news, you have Zohran Mamdani asking a kid, what should he do as mayor? And the kid says, oh yeah, just more free stuff. Because of course, that's what Democrats are all about these days. It's also accompanied with Elisabeth Warren. Again, this brought to us thanks to End Wokeness. And he says, quote, Zohran Mamdani asked a little kid what he should do as New York City mayor. The kid suggests free stuff. I was going to say, back in the day, you get canceled for calling this out. He's sitting Indian style. We're going to bring that saying back. Probably. The show might be not around tomorrow. We'll see.
If you were the leader of New York City for a day, what would you change?
I would change that people not getting to have what they want, and if they don't have no much money, I would change that into that they could, because they need that money to buy it.
So you know he's a leftist kid, or his parents are shit, because they're teaching him that. Oh, this has a Pride t-shirt on? Of course. There's actually a Pride trans one. And of course, this actually makes sense because when they try to get leftist voters, they're mostly mentally, intellectually equivalent to a child. You also have Elisabeth Warren there sitting Indian style. A little disrespectful. I mean, she already stole a scholarship pretending to be Indian. Now she's taking their seating style. How dare she? Kidding. Say however the hell you want. Now, so moderately viral, got 60,000 views and 930 likes. Again, credit to End Wokeness. One of the first comments comes to us thanks to Libcat Media TM, says, quote, why is a 4-year-old wearing a t-shirt that describes people's sexual preferences? Good question. And that got 47 likes. He also says, while wearing the Rainbow Mafia gear, don't forget that part, these people are sick, and now they're promoting it into the next generation, getting 44 likes, going up like a stock. David Santa Clara says, quote, these are the answers you get from people who don't pay taxes. Yes! Getting 64 likes. Oh, well, I was going to say, you just described leftists as well. Let's see. Nia Henderson says, quote, socialist. It's a gal who's named as immigrants who escaped from socialist countries. And the white liberal chick has a hand over the girl's mouth, says college-age Democrat socialist. 89 likes. Again, all these colleges are just mentally just indoctrination centers. I actually do think a good idea. You know what we should do? All these kids that say they're pro-communist, ship them off to those countries. They want it? Let's give them to them. I'll pay for that plane ticket. Ship them to Cuba. See how they like it. Conservative alternative also says, quote, you have to have the mental maturity of a child and a complete misunderstanding of how real life works in order to be a socialist. Thanks for confirming it to us, kid. Gained 21 likes. FAFO has a picture of Zohran in front of the Twin Towers, saying, quote, I can give you 2,296 reasons not to elect a radical Muslim as a New York City mayor. Getting 72 likes. I mean, I don't think he works for the CIA or the FBI, does he? Let's see. You also have the cabinet of Dr. Memes, says stay frosty. It's the goose meme, and the goose goes for free. Who's paying for it? Who's paying for it? Getting 18 likes. Yep, the honest hard workers. Of course. And again, that's probably how they get elected. I mean, just get elected saying, oh yeah, we're going to have government-run grocery stores, government-run housing. which again, never ever works and just decreases in quality. And they have to steal more money to keep those, I would argue, just government theft programs alive as they steal from taxpayers to give to people who don't contribute. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Donald Trump trolling Gavin Newsom as he has the Trump 2028 hat, and the clip goes viral. Brought to us thanks to Donald Trump himself on social media. Hashtag real Donald Trump. There's a Gavin Newsom right here.
I wasn't exaggerating when I said that I received in the mail a Trump 2028 hat from one of his biggest supporters. These guys are not screwing around.
That got 26.2 million views, 161,000 likes. And Trump did a little magical AI or some type of software to put the Trump 28 hat on top of Gavin Newsom. And obviously he's trolling him. Trump would say, Gavin Newsom, what a liar, what a dope. He doesn't realize I'm just trolling him. I'm not running in 2028, but he's giving me lots of free publicity so I can sell more of those beautiful, gorgeous, big, beautiful red hats. The most beautiful ones on the planet. Trump 2028. You know how much money I make in those merchandise? I push more merch than Taylor Swift, and she doesn't even sell Swifters or the mops yet. Which, again, is hilarious. Again, not like, can Trump not run again? But, let's be honest, he's also getting old, too. I don't think he wants to be president again. But, yeah, went viral on social media and messing with Gavin Newsom's head. One of the first comments comes to us thanks to Gunther Eagleman. Says, if you think Gavin Newsom is a POS, like this post. Gained 3.1 thousand likes. We also have Amelia Henderson says, quote, there's no doubt Trump could drown a rescuing child from the ocean and Democrats would still accuse him of starving the sharks. Getting 563 likes. Of course. They probably say it's in the shark's nature. It deserves food or some crap like that. Mega Kitty has like 5 hats stacked on top of Gavin Newsom, getting 206 likes. Nick Sorter says, Gavin Newsom makes it so freaking easy to dunk on him. LMFAO, getting 976 likes. Gunther Eagleman says, go dropping the nukes on him. Love it, getting 407 likes. Proud Elephant says, Gavin Newsom is the worst governor in American history. Getting 252 likes. Yeah, it's got to be up there. I mean, usually you'd think of like, the leader of Chicago, one of the most corrupt, terrible, Illinois is one of the most corrupt, terrible states in the union. But again, in terms of driving, not only people suffering and dying, every leftist city and state has that, but in terms of actually making the state worse, I think Gavin Newsom would be it. I mean, I can't name one business that's moved to California in 48 months, but there's been over 250 businesses that have left, including Fortune 500 companies. Spoiler alert, they go to any red state because they are better for not just businesses, but the employees. I mean, companies or the states that are getting the most Fortune 500 companies leaving California, or as I call it, California, are like Texas, Tennessee, and Florida. Also great places because they don't steal money from you. They don't have an income tax like California. I think they steal 13.5% of your income at the top line. Just disgustingly abhorrent. Which you also have Mega Kitty says, who else thinks Newsom is a psychopath? Getting 27 likes. Also Zupa says, quote, Gavin Newsom was so triggered by this, he had a serious meltdown. Then he tries to post some memes, but they all fell flat. There's only one goat, getting 245 likes. Yep. As Trump would say, the best memes come from me, obviously. There's Gavin Newsom looking like a bitch in a psycho ward with Trump all around him. He's got TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. There's no cure yet. The only cure, actually, I spoke too soon. The cure for Trump derangement syndrome is quite easy. You can fist all these girls with the nose rings like cows and short purple and blue hair. There's only a couple cures, but the best one includes you feed them a piece of juicy American steak. It's one of the most delicious things on the planet. Ideally, a Trump steak, perhaps vintage. Give them a beer, not Anheuser-Busch, that crap. Give them a Yangling, the oldest family-owned brewery in America, still in business, family-owned, great, monumentous. Give them a good old 1911 Colt. It is a piece of engineering every American should have. John Moses Browning, what a baller. Of course, an AR-15 thanks to Eugene Stoner from ironically California. Also, perhaps a cigar as tobacco helped grow our country. And I can't help but say, you need at least a V8, 8 cylinders or greater, and a manual transmission, at least. If you prescribe these things to any leftist person, woman, man, well, let's be honest, not very beta men. There's a couple Tim Lawsons out there. If you give them these things, they'll become more American than I. I mean, I don't know if Trump would say that per se, but I can't help but think that would cure most of them. And also introduce them to God because they don't believe in that. They worship terrible things like Planned Parenthood and themselves as they look in the mirror with that stupid cowering like every girl on social media these days, which I swear they all have it. If you do those things, I'm not saying it would cure you 100% of the time against Trump derangement syndrome, but perhaps 85% of the time. Although 60% of the time it works every time. But of course, Trump trolling Gavin Newsom at peak, knocked it out of the park. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have whoopsies an AR-15 chamber lock being recalled. Now, this brought to us thanks to the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, perhaps the only useful government website, though, granted, that's a pretty low bar. And they say, quote, Stop Box USA recalls AR-15 chamber locks due to risk of serious injury and death. Whoops, that's not great. And, it looks, well, as it should. It's a simple design, got a couple buttons on the side, so you can punch it a combination. And then you have one on top to presumably open it. And it's good materials, anodized metal, looks fancy. Although, again, having a gun lock, I think, is the dumbest thing on the planet, unless you have kids, but I would just, train them early. But nevertheless, some dictatorial and communist states actually require them. But nevertheless, they say, quote, the issue with this particular product is a manufacturing defect allows the recalled chamber locks to be forcibly removed, allowing unauthorized or undetected access to the firearm, posing a serious injury, risk of serious injury or death. Which, again, small sample size. Thankfully, not too many people bought the product. Not for the company, but about 300 of these units are being recalled as of now. And yeah, I don't know how you messed that up. They say that consumers should immediately stop using the recalled AR-15 chamber lock and secure this firearm other means. They should contact Stop Box USA to receive a prepaid return label and instructions to return their chamber lock for a full refund or replacement of a undefective one. And it's kind of sad because, again, these are actually made in the USA, which is a rare thing. So I would never buy one of these stupid things. But again, if you have kids, I recommend them maybe. And they're sold for about $150 between June 2025 and July 2025. Manufactured by Stop Box USA of Spokane Valley, Washington. But again, silver lining, they got ahead of the situation. No one's been hurt, no one's passed away. So they got, recall came at the right time. But again, I mean, it's already difficult to sell made in the USA items because, again, much more expensive. And again, the profit margins are so rough to compete in manufacturing, especially. People are paying a premium, not just to support their fellow American, because on average, the only way they can survive is superior quality. So again, they have an issue with a product that's priced at a premium at $200 a piece. And the fact that, again, it's related to firearms, you have to be extra safe. Yeah, unfortunately, I have to say this AR-15 chamber lock and stop box, you are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so you can click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback. Let me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone, everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.